Today, we are cracking open one of the most powerful books on personal change out there, Atomic Habits by James Clear. And we're going to focus on two core ideas that I promise you will completely reshape how you think about your goals and, well, yourself. We're not just talking about life hacks here. We're going to get into the deep psychological reason why so many of our best intentions, those New Year's resolutions, just fizzle out. And more importantly, we're going to uncover the simple four-step loop in your brain that holds the key to making any change actually stick for good. So here's the game plan. First, we're going to figure out the real problem. Why do our habits fail? Then we'll dive into the secret sauce, this idea of identity-based habits. After that, we'll pop the hood and look at the engine that drives all our behavior, the four-step habit loop. Then we'll see this loop in action all around us, and finally, we'll tie it all together so you can start becoming the person you actually want to be. Sound good? Let's do it. Okay, so first things first. Let's talk about that frustrating, sinking feeling when a habit you were so excited about just disappears. We've all been there, right? Seriously, think about it. You decide this is the year you're finally going to get fit or write that book or whatever it is for you. The motivation is sky high. You're crushing it for a week, maybe two. And then life happens. A crazy week at work, you get sick, you miss one day, and just like that, the momentum is gone. The guilt sets in, and before you know it, you're right back where you started. It's a cycle so many of us are stuck in. Well, here is the first and maybe most important thing you need to hear. If you've struggled to make habits stick, the problem isn't you. It is not a lack of willpower. It is not a moral failing. The problem is your system. James Clear says we're all trying to change the wrong thing. We focus on the outcomes, like lose 20 pounds, without ever dealing with the beliefs that are running the show behind the scenes. It's like trying to change the fruit on a tree without ever checking the roots. And that brings us to the core idea that changes everything. This is a huge mental shift. It's about getting down to the roots. It's this simple. Stop focusing on what you want to achieve and start focusing on who you wish to become. Think of it like an onion. Behavior change has 3 layers. On the outside, you have your outcomes. That's the what, the results you get, losing weight, publishing a book. 1 layer deeper, you have your processes. That's the how. It's the new routine you follow, the system you built. But at the very core, the most powerful layer is your identity. This is the who. It's what you believe about yourself. Now, here's where we all go wrong. We try to change from the outside in. We think getting a result will change who we are. But that approach is completely backward. And you can see the difference right here. The usual way is on the left. We focus on an outcome, like, I want to run a marathon. But if our identity is still, I'm not a runner, then every single run feels like a battle against ourselves. It takes so much willpower. The real secret to making it stick is on the right. You work from the inside out. You start with the identity. The goal isn't just to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. A runner runs. That's just what they do. It's who they are. The action is just an expression of their identity. This is it. This is the whole thing in a nutshell. Real change isn't about getting a result. It's about becoming a type of person. The goal isn't to meditate once. It's to become a calm person. The goal isn't to write one article. It's to become a writer. Every single time you sit down to write, you're not just writing. You are reinforcing the identity of I am a writer. And this example just shows the power of this so perfectly. Okay, imagine 2 people are trying to quit smoking. Someone offers them a cigarette. The first person says, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. See what's happening there? They still see themselves as a smoker who is resisting. It's a struggle. It takes a ton of energy. But the second person says, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. The difference is tiny, but it's everything. It's a statement of fact. That's not who they are anymore. The decision is easy because it aligns with their new identity. And this isn't just a neat idea, there's real science here. In one study, people who were asked to be a voter in an election were way more likely to vote than people who were simply asked to vote. Why? Because it taps into identity, and identity creates pride. The more pride you have in being a certain type of person, the more you'll fight to protect that identity. Of course, this is also why change is so hard. If your old identity is, I'm bad with money, it will actually fight against your new plans to save, because our brains hate to contradict our own self-image. So you might be wondering, where does this new identity come from? Well, you don't just flip a switch. It gets built. It's built through this amazing feedback loop. Your identity grows out of your habits. Every time you do something, you're casting a vote for who you are. So when you go to the gym on a day you don't feel like it, you are literally providing evidence that you are the kind of person who doesn't miss workouts. And as that evidence builds up, your self-image starts to change. And guess what? As your identity gets stronger, it gets even easier to do the habits. It's a beautiful, virtuous cycle. I just love this metaphor from James Clear. Think of every action you take as a vote. A single vote doesn't decide an election, right? And going for one run doesn't instantly make you a runner. But as the votes pile up, the run today, the healthy meal tomorrow, the good night's sleep the day after, the evidence starts to become overwhelming. And look, the goal is not to be perfect. You're going to cast some votes for your old self. That's fine. The goal is just to win the majority of the votes each day. Over time, you build such a strong case for your new identity that you can't help but believe it. Okay, so if our actions are the votes, then how do we actually cast them? How does it all work? Well, that brings us to the voting booth itself, the 4-step habit loop. This is the hidden engine running in the background of your life. Understanding this is like getting the owner's manual for your brain. And it's actually really simple. This loop runs on autopilot, probably hundreds of times a day without you even noticing. It's just 4 steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. Every single one of your habits, from brushing your teeth to checking your phone the second you get bored, every single one follows this exact pattern. So let's break this down. First is the cue. That's the trigger, the little bit of info that tells your brain a reward is nearby. It could be a notification sound, a time of day, a feeling. Second is the craving. Now, this is the key. You don't actually crave the habit, you crave the feeling the habit will give you. You don't crave a donut, you crave the rush of sugar. You don't crave Instagram, you crave a distraction. The craving is the motivation. Third is the response. That's the actual habit you do. And finally, the reward. The reward gives you that feeling you were craving, but it also does something super important. It teaches your brain, hey, that worked. Let's remember this loop for next time. If any one of these 4 steps fails, the habit won't form. A really simple way to think about this is in 2 halves. The cue and the craving. That's the problem phase. Your brain notices a problem. You see cookies on the counter, that's the cue. You want a sweet treat, that's the craving. The response and the reward, that's the solution phase. You take action, you eat the cookie, that's the response, and you satisfy that desire, that's the reward. And this changes everything, because you realize every habit, even the quote-unquote bad ones, are just your brain's attempt to solve a problem. Procrastination isn't you being lazy, it's a solution for the feeling of being overwhelmed. So let's take this out of the abstract and into the real world. Because once you see this 4-step pattern, I swear, you will start to see it absolutely everywhere. It's the invisible blueprint of your day. Let's look at how fast this happens. Your phone buzzes. That's the cue. Your brain creates a craving to know what's in that message. Your response is to grab your phone. The reward is satisfying that little bit of curiosity. Boom, loop complete. Or you walk into a dark room, cue, you have a craving to be able to see, you flip the light switch, response, and the reward is light. See? But it works for our tougher habits too. Feeling stressed after work, that's the cue. The craving isn't really for potato chips, it's for comfort, for relief. The response is eating the chips. The reward is that temporary feeling of comfort, which teaches your brain that next time you feel stressed, chips are a great answer. All right, now for the final and most important piece of the puzzle. Let's pull these 2 massive ideas, our identity and this habit loop, together into one simple plan you can actually use. Here's the bottom line. You don't just get in a car and start driving. You pick a destination first. In this model, your desired identity is the destination. You decide, I want to be a writer, or I want to be a healthy person. Then you use the 4-step habit loop as the car that gets you there. You prove that new identity to yourself with small, consistent wins. You don't just decide you have a new identity, you earn it, 1 vote at a time, 1 loop at a time. It's so simple. We change who we are by changing what we do. And this right here is where the real magic is. We always think we need some huge, life-changing moment, but we completely underestimate the power of tiny improvements day after day. 1 workout won't change your body. Writing 1 paragraph doesn't make you an author. But the effect of these things over months and years is incredible. It's just like compound interest. The results are almost invisible at first, which is why it's so easy to quit. But if you just stick with it, the long-term returns are absolutely massive. So I'll leave you with this question. Forget about the huge, scary goal for a minute. Don't worry about writing a novel. Just ask yourself this: who is the person I want to be? And then, what is 1 tiny, ridiculously small vote I can cast for that person today? Maybe it's not going for a 5-mile run. Maybe it's just putting your running shoes on. Maybe it's just writing 1 sentence. Because that 1 tiny action, that 1 atomic habit, that 1 little vote, that is where all real change begins.